Hi, everybody. It's Mary Catherine from Quantum Expansion. And this is a little video on what is light language. So you may be joining me on my course for Play in the Language of Light. And I just want to explain for those of you that are maybe brand new to the concept of the language of light, light language, soul language, angelic language, whatever it is that you are calling it, essentially. So first of all, let's go through the what. What is it? What is it? So this is a language of the soul. It is sacred geometry in human form. We're embodying that when we speak it, when we play with it. It's language that's in motion. It's language that is a frequency. It's a vibration. It's a sound. It's a wave. It's symbols. It is movement. It's codes. It's energy. It's colors. It's ticks, clicks, sounds, tones. So it's a bit of everything, all in everything, essentially, to do with the physical aspect as we present. Both our energy, our voice, being it tones or clicks or singing or saying, be it through the seeing and sensing of energy, colors, even seeing the symbols in front of us, and then moving the hands, using hands to write out the light language, essentially, or allow the flow to work through you, even through dance and movement of the body, the whole body system itself. Just like Leonardo da Vinci's man, you know, that man when he's out like this, right? So it's that sense of everything is sacred geometry within us as well. We are all made up of sequences, codes, Fibonacci sequence, the golden ratio, mathematical formulas that make the matter that is us. Everything is like able to be broken down into that sense. So light language is an aspect of that, embodies that in itself. It is like the fingerprint of our soul essence. So it's felt and understood by the soul, not so much to be understood or processed or, you know, by the analytical mind. It essentially bypasses the analytical mind so that it moves straight into the heart space and that we receive it open in that way. So in that way and in that sense in itself, then it kind of presents as multidimensional, right? It works in a multidimensional level in the quantum field, if you want to say it that way too. So it is a consciousness of light that connects us to source. What is light? Light is information, light is love, light is God, light is creation. So light, consciousness, and it brings us right back into the present, the now. It's a flow of communication from your soul, from source, from whomever you feel channeling through, or just your own soul self, between you and source. It is telepathic communication, essentially, as well. So it can be understood in that way. It brings us into a space of unity, centers us. It's a way to channel the sound to allow spirit to come through us. There's an element of us surrendering, letting go when we're in that space as well. So that's a little bit about what it is. And if we're to go into the what, where, how, you know, aspect of it as well, this is creative energy. And it can be used to manifest. We can speak things into existence using it, right? It's like the law of attraction, okay? It comes through as our intention. We allow it flow, thought, and energy, and therefore power of creation is manifested through it. It helps in a lot of ways, which I'll go through now. So, or maybe go, where does it come from? So just to explain about where it comes from. So there are various star systems that are affiliated with the languages of light, planetary systems. You might hear people say like Pleiades or Lyrian or Sirian or Andromedan or Orion or Vegan, any of those, like essentially there's so many of them there. So certain people may say like, I affiliate with this is the language that I speak. Cool, awesome. It's also from, you know, the angelic frequency, it can be called, the galactic, they're the galactics that we just talked about, fairies, elementals, dragon, nature spirits, earth itself. Essentially, all and everything can be channeled through you as its vibration and spoken to from that space. So the magnificence of this language is that you can go to a tree and ask a tree, what are you? What is the sound of you? And allow that to flow through. Or a flower, or a rock, or even, funny enough, anything that holds consciousness. Everything vibrates at some level. You can essentially tune in and tap into it in that way. So in hearing or speaking light language, we remember our multidimensional selves. It's already within us. This language is within us, and it can be activated. It can be channeled through us. When we say it's already within us, it's in our sequence, it's in the DNA, it's in the cellular structure, and all that you need is just to say, I choose this, and essentially allow it to flow forth, release, come through. How it presents in everybody may be a little different though. So some people might sing it, some might say it, tone it, hum it. Some may use the hands, you know, bringing forth the sigils through the hands, or the codes, or the symbols, sacred geometry. Some may work through dance with it. Some may doodle in it, you know, classic doodling I just did this morning to see what would come forth. The doodles, the doodle doodles, right? So, doodly doodle doodle. So doodle in it, write it. Art comes through via artwork. Crop circles are light language. Mandalas, so drawing mandalas is light language, and here's a mandala here, like just seeing that, right? That's a mandala. They're all forms of light language. So you may start to notice it and see it and sense it as you become attuned to how it might present in your life through shapes and structures and artworks and the fingerprint of source itself in nature, right? It's freaking magnificent, and it might start to work through you in a different way the more we become aware of it and call it forth as well. So we become activated by the higher universal energies when we kind of speak it, when we allow it to flow through us, and we're reminded that we're not alone, essentially. We're connected to every single thing in life when we allow this energy to flow through us, whatever way it presents. And you may notice that it sounds familiar. It sounds familiar to your ears, to your heart. Now, I will say, let's say many people are around right now and they're speaking light language, they're bringing it forth. Not everybody speaks the same way, right? Or the same dialect, or even if it is, you know, you can say that's Palladian, two people may not speak it the exact same way, right? So it's unique, and you may resonate more with certain frequencies and vibrations, or even the person relaying it. So some may not resonate with me, some will, and vice versa. If you're speaking it, some may resonate with you, some not. And there's no judgment in this. It's simply, it could be even where you are at in your journey. You know, you might, oh yeah, need a bit of this week and need a bit of that one this week. So no judgment, and there's no right and wrong. It simply is for the essence itself, because what is needed by you, you will receive. So how? I spoke about what is it, where is it, why is it actually should be next, isn't it? So why would you call forth light language? Why would it be fun to play with? So it helps us shift our energy. Ooh, my door just opened. Hold on, I'm gonna have to close it. Shift your energy and the wind blows open my front door. One sec. I'm back. So I was speaking about the why. So it helps us shift our energy. If we're feeling stuck, if we're feeling more dense, hearing it or speaking it, embodying it, allowing it to flow through us, can bring us back into a space of alignment. It can center us once again. So it helps shift our perspectives as well, like the thoughts or the patterns or the thought patterns that loop. It's like a pattern interrupt. It can help facilitate change on a physical level, an emotional level, a mental level, etheric level, so that we create something new. We create a new reality for ourselves, one that is more in alignment with where we're going, with what our soul is looking for, seeking for, wanting. So I've used it myself to bring harmony and more self-acceptance, self-love in, especially around the dual aspects of ourselves, what we might see as, this would be me, the judgment me, right, wrong, good, bad, perfectionism, what should be that way, the darkness within us and the light, that battle between dark and light, the shadow self. So I've used the light language a lot in the last while, this year particularly around that actually, and it's been helping me in that space. So it can bring me into more compassion and forgiveness with more ease and grace. Another facet that it does is it is a conduit for coding to help anchor that in. So if we have like gates, like right now we're coming up to Lionsgate, we're in August, near August, portal gates, if we have codes coming in from the higher self, downloads, codes are information, right? Downloads, it helps kind of anchor it into the physical, helps the physical. It can help even clear and purge in the physical sometimes too. So it's what you'll need is what you receive. It's not like one size fits all the time, because you'll get exactly what you need. So it is a one size fits all the time. Remember, this is already within you. You're just remembering an aspect of you, a part of you that's been dormant, if it's not yet activated. If it has, you're reactivating it as well. If you've spoken it once before, it's merely a reactivation. And you're also accessing a multidimensional aspect of yourself when you start playing and speaking in this language and drawing in it and XYZ in it, the rest of it. So it also helps realign neural pathways. And this was really interesting for me when I first had it flow through over a year ago now, and I was in a workshop, and like maybe 4 weeks after, as it kept coming through. And it can be like this. It started before I went to the workshop, was like words or phrases coming through, and healings I was doing with people or coaching sessions with people. And in my own healing, it was coming through like sporadically. And when I went to the workshop, that's when the big flow happened. It just cleared. It was like turning on the faucet and allowing the gunk to run out, so it ran crystalline clear. So it can be in that way. And what I noticed was for the next 3 weeks afterwards, I had physical brain pain. And this is what I saw as neural pathways rewiring within the brain. Now it'll do that. That was specifically with my language centers for light language. Because right after that stopped, it was just, I wouldn't have to think about it. I wouldn't have to go into meditation. It would just come through, like I could speak it now, blah, it just became that kind of like right there. So it works in that way though for like limiting beliefs as well, like rewire systems that we're saying we're releasing, we're letting go, move out of that now. It helps build our light bodies, so our Merkaba activations. It awakens our soul memories. We can often remember past lives, in between lives. We connect more with our soul family, our guides, our councils, brings us more into alignment with that. It reconnects us with our own soul essence, higher self. It can help shift us into a higher consciousness. It releases, it can be used, and I've used this myself, to release contracts, oaths, vows, release energies karmically and ancestrally, upgrade DNA, heal in that sense of quantum healing via light language, like heal, like physical stuff healing, mental healing, emotional healing, dissolve any limiting pattern, restores our energies, brings back real being, revitalizes us. So that's what it can do, and there's probably more, but that's essentially enough for now. How can it happen? So there's like 2 methods for it to land in. One is it may be a spontaneous activation, a spontaneous re-remembering And that might happen in prayer or in a ceremony or perhaps in a healing or a Reiki session, or you could be having a cup of tea with somebody and it's suddenly you feel a rush come through. It could be you hear somebody speak it and you're in the presence of somebody else, and that just is like click, something clicks and it spontaneously comes forth. So that's one method it can happen. The second is intentional pursuit, which is hands up. I went after it. I had heard it as a child, was fascinated, never forgot it. Heard it again via an aunt of mine. Again, was fascinated. Heard it again with like 300 people in a room. Didn't feel I was worthy to, I had like a worth thing with this. Wasn't good enough to be able to do it. I blocked it essentially. Ego mind was definitely in the way. And they're all my first times hearing the language of light. Now, it wasn't called the language of light from the people that I heard it from. It is a relation, like a cousin of the language of light. It was called speaking in tongues. And some people may have, maybe not have great experiences if there's like a religious, if there's something there on that. But it is if you go back a lineage, like you're following a family tree back, it is, let's say, in the family tree of what we call light language today. But light language itself is an evolved aspect of that almost. And it's evolved mainly because the vibrations have changed on Earth right now, right? And light language is you're going back, speaking in tongues is going back to the Bible times. And I had a revival for me anyway, in my family. I remember it being revived in the 90s. I only know that because I was a child then. I just remember hearing it my first time hearing it. So I think the charismatic movements in those times. So if you have an experience that wasn't so positive, release that from you right now. If speaking in tongues, you have an affiliation with the church, because sometimes these things, the intention as well is big with this, right? So just breathe out of that right now, because what we're moving into is the new energies. It is the new codes that are coming through, like I just explained. That is the language of light, your soul essence awakening, with no limits and no judgments and no rules around it. Sometimes there was rules with the tongue, the speaking in tongues. There is that's gone, right? Man doesn't have rules on this. Woman or man doesn't have rules on this. So the sounds themselves can come out as tones or clicks or clacks, or, you know, it's not all the same. And these sounds in and of themselves essentially are mathematical. They're like mathematical formulas. They're like sacred geometry, and they help connect us. So that is the how. I think that's everything. How, what, where, when. The when is interesting. So you may come and join me on in my workshop. You may hear it. You may receive the activations that happen in there, the co-creation that happens, and it may be a week or two before it activates. It may be spontaneous activation. There is no right and wrong, right? There just isn't. It's when the alignment happens, maybe even when this sits back another little bit more. When I'm saying this is the mind space, right? Little me, ego me, hi. When that sits back a little and just goes, oh, okay, I don't need to control anything. I'll just let go and just allow. And oftentimes that might be practice in allowing. That might be getting into a space of allowing and then feeling safe to allow it to flow through you. There is no right and wrong. There is an aspect of, I invite your imagination to come to play with this. And then people might go, but I'm just imagining it. Yes, to start off with, do that. Copy me. Copy people that you hear. That's how babies learn to speak. And we are of the same, okay? We're moving into the essence of childlike wonder, of childlike innocence, of play, so that we're in flow. We're not super serious, right? When we're embodying this. So bring your imagination into play. Bring your spontaneity. Bring your play. Bring your carefreeness. There is no judgment here. And anywhere that you may feel self-conscious, it's coming up for a reason to be cleared. And this may even be doing that. So awesome. Wow, amazing. Recognize it, speak to it. What does it need? What do you need? What does it mean about you? And come back into the heart. Come back in and just breathe. So, my loves, that is a little bit on what is light language, and I will see you all soon. Bye.